Struggling with vinyl residue? Check this video out. Hello there. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a bit of a masterclass on how to remove vinyl residue from football shirts. We get loads of messages every day, and the vast majority of them relate to people struggling with removing that last bit of residue from football shirts. Now, it's, like I say, the most common question we get asked, and it's also, I would say, the most common point at which people just either give up or they start doing silly things and damaging the shirt. So I'm going to give you a short, sharp lesson on how to remove it. So there's typically kind of two types of residue that you'll get. You'll get residue left over from flock, or like the felty sort of material, and you'll get residue left over from vinyl, which is like this one. So today's shirt is another one of my Davo shirts. Like I've said before, I've got loads of these. I bought a whole bundle, bless Davo. He got one of these every year for his birthday. And today we're going to take the Davo residue off and restore it. But like I say, you've got two types. You've got the vinyl. For this video, you've got the flock, and we're going to be doing a video next week or shortly to cover the flock residue removal. And ideally, you would get as much of the residue off with nameset when you remove it. And we've got a video up here, how to remove a vinyl nameset, and that takes you through, as the name suggests, how to remove a vinyl nameset. And we've got another video up here that takes you through how to remove a flock nameset. And there's different, use different solvents for each of them. But if you are left over with some residue like this, well, I'm going to show you the best way to remove it. I would say there's three main mistakes that people make when they're trying to remove residue. The first one is they probably use the wrong solvent. So like I say, for vinyl, it's really all about VLR. There's been a few instances in the past where I've had to use either a combination of VLR and alcohol, or alcohol if it's left a thick residue. But typically for vinyl, you need to use VLR. It's not available in every country, so you can try and use some other things. I wouldn't recommend using acetone. If you can, I would recommend paying the shipping and trying to find someone that will ship you some VLR. So you apply the VLR, and the second mistake that people make is that they apply it to the front. Now, a portion, as I will show you, a portion of the removal process does involve adding it to the front, but key is to apply it to the back of the shirt. So to this side, not directly to this side. And I'll explain why when when I show you over there. And the last mistake that people make is they use too much force. You'll be using one of our magic scrapers, ideally, or if you've made your own one, then brilliant. But if you use too much force on the shirt, you're going to damage it. So the solvent really has to do its job, and the job of the scraper is just to kind of remove the debris, or maybe provide a little bit of force, but not too much force. So what I'll do is I'll take you over to the other side, and I'll show you how we can take this Davo from being Davo to no more and have it all clear. So what we're going to need for this is a board to put your shirt on, some cotton pads, some VLR, a light box, something to put your debris in, and a microfiber cloth, and actually some kitchen roll. So we're going to turn the shirt inside out and lay it over the light box so that you can see the Davo. Now, you're not going to be able to see it, but I can just about see that there's Davo there. That's why it's really important to use these light boxes. They're brilliant. They really are. Now, what I'm going to do, because the nameset's already off, so I don't need too much VLR, I'm just going to apply some VLR to the back of the residue. I've just gone on the D, first of all, and now I'm going to pull it over the front, and I'm just going to use the scraper to try and scrape away as much as possible. It's really important to use the scraper, like I say, to scrape away as much as possible before you start moving onto the microfiber cloth. That is looking quite good. And now I'm going to get the microfiber cloth and I'll give it a bit of a rub. It's looking good already. Now, that is looking pretty good, but I'm not quite finished with it yet. So I'll put a little bit more, just a very small amount more, and I'm going to apply that to the front now. It's really important that you don't apply any to the front until, at the very least, all of the colour is gone from the name set, because otherwise what you'll get is the colour is actually kind of ink or paint on the name set. The solvent will effectively start to dissolve, and that's where you get those nasty paint marks on the shirt. Now, I've applied that. Use my microfiber cloth. Start to rub. If the material has got a thick kind of grain to it, then just remember, if you rub across the grain, whilst that gets a bit more friction and might get off the adhesive a bit more quickly, you run the risk of damaging the material. So just make a judgment call. This is quite a fine material, so there's not much of a grain to it, so there's not much chance of it getting damaged from rubbing. Now, I don't know if you can see, but that is pretty much gone. Now, there are some smear marks, so we'll deal with those after. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same process to the A, the V and the O, and then show you the finished job. So here you have it. There was Davo in Residue, and I followed that process of VLR to cotton pad to the back, and then use the scraper to get the vast majority off, and then use microfiber cloth, give it a rub. If there's anything left, then put a little bit more VLR in the front, rub it to the front, microfiber cloth to remove the rest, and what you're left with is just got a couple of smear marks. But that's fine, because we have our trusty spot solve that will get rid of the smear marks. So I'm gonna give that a go over, and then give it a very gentle hand wash, just this bit, because we don't want to damage this number, because I'm going to leave that number on, just put the new name on, and there you have it. That is the residue removed. So there you have it. Davo is no more. Like I say, there's a little bit of smear marks left over that we'll get rid of with some spot solve, and then final thing that you can do is the iron trick. Now, before you apply any heat to residue, well, you need to make sure the residue is gone, because if you apply heat to any of whether it's flock or vinyl residue, before it's gone, it will harden and it will become much harder to get off. But when you get to this kind of point where there's no residue, you can't feel any difference between where there was a letter and the standard material, that's how you know that if there's still some marks there, it's probably just either discoloration or such a fine layer of adhesive that a bit of heat will be fine. Now, if you've got a heat press, I'm going to be pressing a new name on this. So if you've got a heat press, you can just apply the heat press, and that is the heat that will get rid of any last bits. Or if you haven't got a heat press, you can use an iron. A medium heat, make sure you use a Teflon sheet or silicone paper or something like that. Make sure you put the ironing board inside the shirt so you don't get any marks to the front, but just apply an iron just for 5 or 6 seconds. Keep moving it around 5 or 6 seconds, and those last little marks will disappear. So I hope you found that useful. If you have, please remember to click like and subscribe. Really helps with the algorithm. If you've got any comments, please leave them below and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much.